Take a deep breath with me. Right down to your pelvis. And the out breath longer than the in breath. Just keep taking those breaths. I came across a post just now and it really inspired me to share. It said, sometimes peace comes at the cost of being undercracked, whatever that means, underbanged, you know what that means, and, what was it, undertouched. And it's the person that posted this runs a adult themed relational type Instagram. And I commented something, and I want to share it here because truthfully, if our peace is shaken or disturbed in any way by some external, so the message essentially of this was, sometimes it's better to be alone for your peace than it is to be with someone, right? If they're causing havoc. Now, I'm not in any way advocating staying with someone who's causing havoc, right? If you're in a partnership, you want to work through it, that's fine. You do what you like. There are many people in situations that it would be better to leave, and if they had the self-esteem, the level of awareness to step out of that, it would be healthier for them. However, when we are truly at peace, it is unshakable. That's what true peace is. Undisturbed by anything. Doesn't matter what's happening. It can be taken to an extreme. You know, we've seen self-immolation, I think it's called, where a monk will set himself on fire and meditate through it, burn himself to death. Extreme example, right? I'm not suggesting anything like that. But what I am saying is it's the same thing. If you can remain at peace, this peace inside, the peace that passes all understanding, as it's called, nothing in the external physical world will affect you. Nothing. The last time I was truly in that state, I'd been practicing meditation many hours every day, listening to spiritual teachers, being part of a community of practices of presence. Practices? Yeah, go with that. And nothing bothered me. There was this stillness inside. No matter what flowed through my body, I even processed intense panic through my body, yet internally there was this light, this presence in here, in just that big, just in here, this peace and stillness that of being the observer, of letting everything flow through. This body process, to someone externally, they might have thought I wasn't in control. They might have thought I didn't know what, that I was in a state of a panic attack. But the intuition, the innate knowing of my body knew what to do. I knew to get up and run out of the tent. I was in a community event at the time. There was a bit of triggering in the group. There was a lot of energy. There was, this panic response in my body. I could feel the energy of the group moving through me. The intelligence of my body, of my being, knew to take this energy, get up, run out, run out the door, run down the hill and scream into a bush, right? All of this energy wanted to release through me. Someone has said, after, when I came back, and it was total peace. I was pure observing. I didn't care what anyone around me saw on my face. Sitting in there, starting to breathe. I was just processing. My eyes were moving. I was like, some part of me was just processing what was going on. Internally, there was this stillness. And that stillness stayed with me the whole time. As soon as the release happened, my body was just calm. There was no after effect, no lingering holding on, no nothing. Just that peace. The ability to be with what is. And someone came down to support and I said, I'm good. Thank you for coming. I've got this. And he said, I know. Just wanted to be here as a presence. That's the magical thing about working, living, being in these communities, or these community events. By the way, I'm referring to an event called Sacred Arts Camp. We do a lot of singing, circle dancing, stuff like that, but it's a camp, it's a communal thing. It's a beautiful place down in Oxford. So you can search Unicorn Camps or Sacred Arts Camp to find that if you're interested. And then I returned to the tent completely, composed. Not composed because I'd made myself be composed, but because that was the natural state. Once the energy passes through, we return to that level of peace in the body experience as well as that internal state. So that was a bit of a lengthy story. I wasn't intending to do 6 minutes, but there we go. And so to return to the point, presence, peace, stillness cannot be touched by anything. Unmovable, unshakable, unfuckwithable. It just is. Outside of anything, outside of physical, outside of duality, masculine, feminine, all that stuff, it's beyond that. And that's what awakening is. I'm not claiming that I'm awakened. I've tasted these states of being. I'm on a journey to be able to embody those more and more. But we can't get there without a taste of them, right? Otherwise we don't know what we're aiming for. But the aiming is an internal process. It's not a mindset goal. The moment the mind tries to take over, we enter something that's not peace. It's ego trying to maintain equilibrium. And so one of the really key points, actually, and thank you if you stayed this long, one of the really key points is that, hold on, while I pause. If you are experiencing peace because of a lack of someone in your life, it's not true peace. It's just not being triggered. And a lot of people think that peace is about keeping everything else away so that I'm not triggered, right? So that they're not triggered. True peace is there regardless. Regardless of anything that is happening, peace is the state of being. It's your pure being. It is the innate essence that is you. Your I am presence is untouchable. And that is the source of true peace. If you're peaceful because you're by a lake, that doesn't mean, it may make it easier to tune into that peace. But it's also the case that it can simply be that you're not being triggered. And our true peace exists regardless of any triggers. It's in the background. And when there is a true experience of awakening that stays, that peace is always in the background. And that's something that we're working towards. I don't want anyone to feel judgmental about, how they're doing and, but I'm not there yet. Neither am I. We all have a time. And that's not a moral failing. It's not that anyone's better than anyone else. It's that we've all signed up for a particular journey. Divinely ordained. Your soul knows what it's doing. There's nothing wrong with any of you, with any of us, being where we're at. Good practice I was being reminded of this morning was forgiveness. Forgiving myself for things I've done, for the ways I am that aren't perfect. And in forgiving myself, I can also begin to forgive others. Because what we don't deal with in ourselves, we're going to project out onto others. Even if someone is doing something that's not helpful, shall we say, we're projecting our judgment, our understanding, or lack of understanding, our emotional baggage onto them in the situation, rather than just accepting, hey, this is where the person's at, and it's a beautiful process they're in. Remember the times when you were so limited You couldn't see what you could see now. Remember how lost you felt, how insignificant, and how if anyone had tried to tell you any of these truths at one time or another, you'd have gone, fuck that. You don't know my story. You don't know me. Who are you to tell me what my innate being is, or who are you to tell me how I should and shouldn't be? Right? We were all there at some stage. And hey, a lot of us still are, right? Many of us are flitting between these states. I certainly am. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be perfect. This is the experiential wisdom I've gained through deep practice, consistent practice. But it doesn't make me perfect. It doesn't make me above anyone. No matter how much the ego might tell me that sometimes. It's a defense mechanism. Where am I feeling insecure? And where is that insecurity turning into ego that says, I know, I've got all the answers. I know better than you, and you need to catch up to me. Right? I think a lot of us know that state of being. And so bring compassion to it, bring forgiveness to it. It's an essential part of the journey. It's a undeniable part of the journey. And so if you haven't observed this in yourself, these egoic, judgmental parts, then it's likely still there in the background, and that's okay. Can you acknowledge that it's there? Being spiritual isn't about being perfect. It's about recognizing your divine perfection while allowing the human so-called imperfection to be there. That imperfection is the most potent lesson you could ever hope for. Some of my most powerful learnings in life are from the darkest moments, from the most difficult relationships. They're what hold the most potent learnings. And so when we go through those things, we can begin to come to a state of gratitude. Thank you for messing up my life. Because I needed that to be messed up in order to let go of it, in order to see where I was holding on to something lower vibrational. That's not as in, judgment of lower, higher, worse, better. Just that it's a lower vibration, simple fact of the universe. It doesn't mean worse than. The lower the vibration, the more potent the lesson. Brilliant. Bring it on. What else in me needs seeing? Seeing the birds. What else in me needs seeing, revealing, bringing out of the dark and into the light? Those darkest, shitty parts, they're in need of the most love. And if you can't do that in yourself, you're not going to do it for other people. You're not going to recognize that dark part is actually the part that needs most love. It's been the most neglected. That's why there's so much evil on the planet. We all want to run away from the evil inside ourselves, and then we project that into external running away or fighting it. Fighting no good. Fighting no good. I don't want you to take that as I've got to be completely pacifist. If someone's hurting me, I can't defend myself. No, you can. Only with force that's necessary. But there are times also where we can use our tongues. Something my mum said to me many times that her mum said to her is, you've got a good tongue in your head and you can talk your way out of any situation, and believe me, she can. We have a wisdom and an energy that's accessible to us that will allow us to transform situations where we may have had to use physical defense if we escalated, but actually bringing peace, love, compassion to that person who's in darkness, in turmoil, in pain, who wants to lash out, bringing that understanding to them, they get to experience something else in this life. Something that isn't what they've been creating so far because they're in so much pain, but they get to glimpse that unconditional love, that peace, joy, presence, acceptance, and suddenly their world seems a little bit brighter. They may turn around and apologise. It definitely happens. They might just be left confused. You can't control anyone, but you can control how you respond. And I'm going to leave that here now. I think that's enough talking from me today. Thank you for listening. I'm going to end with a shot of vodka. No, a shot of the garden. I don't drink. Have a blessed day.